Being a person, it's fine to have little money, but don't let poverty define you. Don't let a lack of money shrink your vision for generations. Even if you cannot reach glory, at least strive to be someone useful. One's appearance may not be striking, but never allow the heart to become ugly. Kindness and goodness do not depend on the outward look but arise from the soul within. A person may be short in stature, yet should never let their heart become narrow. No one likes those with small, petty minds. Even with thin shoulders and a frail back, a generous heart can warm countless people. Being physically weak is acceptable, but do not allow your spirit to be feeble. The weak-spirited are often pessimistic and insecure, so you must certainly remain firm, principled, and confident. It's fine if your hands and eyes are slow, but do not let your mind become clouded. Always remind yourself to keep a clear heart and bright mind so you can see far and think deeply. Being stern is acceptable, but never become so ruthless that cruelty turns you into a demon. If not you, then who would fall into hell? You may be intelligent, but never assume yourself exceptional while believing everyone else is foolish. Otherwise, in this world, the only fool will be you. Being a bit lazy is human, but never become someone who avoids work all day. What needs to be done should be completed with effort, and you should have at least some willingness to contribute if you don't want to become a parasite burdening society. Being frugal is good, but don't be overly calculating about money. Otherwise, you'll develop the habit of measuring people through wealth and sooner or later become its slave. Being tolerant is good, but don't let others take advantage of your tolerance and repeat their mistakes. No matter what, you must maintain your own principles and dignity. Life may be hard for a while, but do not let suffering drag on without a way out. Learn to rise, to experience, and to grow. Some things, once they happen, can only be accepted. Some people, once lost, can only be let go. And some paths, once chosen, can only be walked forward. Many good things come from patience, not from fighting. You must have endurance if you don't want to miss your appointment with happiness. Cherish all happenings, big and small, for tomorrow when you look back, you will realize they were all significant. Many things only reveal their value once they become memories. If there is true affinity, neither time nor distance matters. If there is none, even meeting will still lead to going separate ways. A person must walk many roads, experience both glory and hardship before they can mature. When you understand someone clearly, yet choose not to speak, you understand the meaning of forgiveness. When you dislike someone yet do not turn hostile, you grasp the height of respect. A person becomes mature not because they live long or travel much, but because they know when to let go or be forgiving to lessen conflict. Everyone carries their own pain. It is not that it no longer hurts, but that speaking of it changes nothing and only makes one weaker. Some wounds persist, not because we don't care, but because we know silence is the only way they can heal. Maturity is being able to keep a sincere smile while transforming suffering into happiness. No matter how bad life seems, you must face it with courage. Don't think of running away, and don't curse or resent anything, for everything exists to help you grow. Learn to cherish every morning. Each sunrise reminds you to live a day with joy and meaning, first and foremost for yourself. In this world, only the human heart is biased. Nothing else is truly unfair. Do not resent and do not hate. Give your all to the present, and everything big or small will slowly fade into the past. Life may be harsh, but persevere because the effort you give is the success you gain. When time passes and you look back on your journey, you'll see that in this vast sea of people, every encounter is a beautiful fate. A person's lifespan, long or short, matters less than what they accomplish while living. Life is full of ups and downs. Remember to give warmth to those beside you, for each day they remain with you is one day fewer, and the time you have together grows shorter. When morning comes and the sun rises, remind yourself to begin a peaceful day, place joy in your heart, and wear a smile on your lips. In ordinary life, doing countless good deeds may go unnoticed, Yet just one mistake can make even your breathing judged. So don't pay too much attention to how others look at you. Live for the bright tomorrow, and feel no shame when thinking about yourself today. Time is a one-way road. Once passed, it cannot return. Life is sometimes very simple. Once you've made a choice, do not live in regret. People are often contradictory, longing for understanding yet afraid of being truly seen. Some things, when thought too much about, cause headaches. Once understood, they cause heartache. If someone truly intends to wait, they will wait until the end. But those who are indifferent will grasp another hand the moment you turn away. In this world, many may smile at you, but very few truly hold you in their hearts. If you've already been hurt in the past, then be decisive. Do not carry that burden into the future. What has died should not be held on a. Do not place too much expectation on anything. Growing up is a phrase filled with pain. It is not only about gaining, but about losing many things. There are paths you can only walk alone, hardships you cannot share with anyone. Treasure these moments because we only have one life to live. Every person has just one lifetime, short as it is. Days keep passing whether in joy or sadness. Every stage of life has its own way forward, whether advancing or retreating. No one is perfect. No job is flawless. When dealing with petty people, don't calculate too much. It only brings trouble. When facing complicated matters, don't dwell too deeply. It only exhausts your soul. The world is vast, and human hearts are mixed. How can we avoid encountering pettiness? The dust of life is deep. Affairs of the world are fleeting. How can we avoid troubles? Think moderately, look broadly. When wronged, remain silent and let time dissolve it. When it passes, smile gently. If there is no sunlight, enjoy the falling rain. If there are no fresh flowers, breathe in the scent of the fields. If there is no applause, savor the peace of solitude. Time turns, years shift. Not resent. Do not complain. Do not drown in sorrow. Expect nothing. Keep your heart clear and walk lightly on a beautiful path. Hold on to positive thoughts. When needed, take a deep breath to steady your mind. When facing difficulties, remain calm. Think clearly and change your perspective. When you fail, try again to rebuild confidence. Learn to face yourself. Open your heart to life. Forgive mistakes so each day can pass peacefully. Use humility in work, sincerity in dealing with people. People you know may be many, but how many will truly help you? It doesn't matter how many relatives you have. When trouble comes, count how many will actually see you through. Even those who dine with you may not help you when needed. Friendships require quality, not quantity. A truckload of potatoes cannot compare to one precious gem. If I have a cake and share half with you, that is friendship. If I take only one bite and give you the rest, that is love. If I give the whole cake to you, that is a mother's love. But if I hide it and say I'm hungry, such is human nature. If you haven't left, there is no returning. If you haven't arrived, you aren't truly here. Without experiencing gatherings, how would you know the sorrow of parting? Without staying awake, how would you know the night is long? Without waiting, you won't feel how slow the days pass. Without loving, you won't know heartbreak. Without loneliness, how can you understand the ache within? Without enduring winter chills, how can you care for those shivering at your doorstep? Without knowing silence, how can you hear the heartbeat of others? Without ever crying, how can you truly smile? Without giving, how can joy rise naturally from within? Without looking down, how can you feel gratitude? If you cannot forgive small faults, how can you erase the habit of resentment? Life is full of struggles, love and hate, wins and losses. Without stepping before the Buddha, how can you hear the six realms calling? Without silently looking at the green grave, how can you understand how fleeting worldly pursuits are? Without knowing the sound of Nam Mo, how can worldly emotions fade? If you haven't gone, you cannot return. If you haven't been born, death will not yet call your name. After rain, the sky still brightens. The gate of no birth remains open, waiting. Eternity carries the Buddha's smile. while we wander faintly through this life. Between people, the difference is small, but it is this small difference that decides failure or success, sorrow or happiness. That difference is the breadth of one's heart and one's attitude toward life. The Buddha taught that humans are of two types, one like a well at a busy crossroads, serving many, the other like a well deep in the forest, rarely reached by anyone. Blessed are those who are relied upon. It means you hold value, so others look to you. Do not fear being used by the world. Fear only that your heart is so narrow no one dares to rely on it. Our heart is like a path. The more schemes and calculations we have, the narrower the path becomes. A wide heart makes a wide road. A large house means nothing without a generous heart. Good fortune is nothing without a good soul. Speak little, so your heart may be peaceful and your mind may bloom like a calm lotus. Many words bring many errors, much trouble, endless knots. Speak less and return to your inner self. Follow your breath. Recite the Buddha's name softly. Guard the six senses. Keep a mindful heart each moment and be free. Mistakes are best left unspoken, so life may be less troubled. Sometimes silence itself can convey compassion, guarding our body, speech, and mind like one would protect a precious jade. A fragrant lotus blooms naturally without boasting its scent, so does the virtue of speaking little. Speaking less is not suppression, but intention. A single meaningful word can bring more peace than 1,000 scattered, sorrow-laden phrases. Few words, yet the mind resounds with Buddha sound, calming and freeing us from delusion. I vow to keep right speech complete, letting the lamp of wisdom shine within. In today's world, we often talk about suffering, endless suffering. So who suffers first? It is the one inclined toward extremes. Buddhism often teaches the middle way, not leaning too far to any extreme, for anything pushed to its limits will inevitably fall in the opposite direction. Likewise, when misfortune reaches its peak, one should not despair, for hardship often turns into ease, and when success meets favorable winds, one should not be overly proud or reckless, or trouble will surely follow. Second is the arrogant person. The humble are usually loved, while the self-important are disliked, something everyone knows yet still often forgets. People attract trouble because they talk too much, meddle too often. In adversity, one must stand tall. In ease, one must remain cautious, mindful of hidden harm. When successful, always remind yourself to stay humble, never boastful. Third is the overly ambitious. We enter life empty-handed and leave it the same. We eat only 3 meals a day and need only one room to sleep in. So why carry enormous desires that only bring dissatisfaction? Excessive desire is the root of countless sufferings. To lessen afflictions, one must learn to let go, not of duty or responsibility, but of craving. Fourth is the overly critical person. Being too meticulous makes one miserable over trivial things. Sometimes, being a bit carefree brings joy because the overly critical treat everything, big or small, as burdensome, thinking too much and exhausting themselves. Their life becomes dominated by petty concerns, leaving little space for peace. Meanwhile, the carefree worry less and therefore find life simpler, lighter, even if a bit rough around the edges. But through that simplicity, they taste the true flavor of peace. Live simply, work practically, let days drift gently, light, spacious, and free. Suffering enough becomes peace. True joy never leaves suffering entirely. Nirvana and samsara share a bridge. In worldly storms, a ray of sunlight still appears. The faint scent of lotus drifts through twilight. In deep night, eyes closing, dawn rises again. Joy contains sadness. In confinement lies a path of liberation. In youthful beauty are a mother's tired eyes. We hate because we have loved. The more love, the deeper the hurt. In a temple there is the world, and in the world hides a quiet Buddha-realm. In every contradiction lies a Dharma teaching. The lullaby beneath illusions is also the sleep of 1,000 years. In affliction, there is Bodhi. On every shore of the ocean around us resides compassion. Love, gentle as a fisherman's net, clings to the heart. In chaos, silence appears. In each of us sits the Buddha of countless lifetimes. The crowded world narrows our hearts, making winding paths. Thus the world itself becomes winding. Harsh summer days turn us into deserts. I do not expect anyone to be perfect, for within myself I am already whole. I only ask to keep within my heart a small guiding flame. To live meaningfully is to know how to love. It is mistaken to think we are always right and everyone else wrong. One who truly lives can coexist among differences, understanding and harmonizing. In darkness, remember our own flaws before speaking. Everyone has secrets. Leaving them untouched brings hearts closer. Let the heart shine like sunlight spread evenly, the soul like rain falling upon all directions, love like wind traveling everywhere. Live without rigid attachment. When others help solve our problems, be grateful, but never place eternal trust in them. When they can no longer help, we must trust our own strength. Old friends are gold, new friends diamonds. If we have diamonds, do not forget the gold, for to hold diamonds we still need gold to protect them. Friendship is like a book. It takes minutes to burn, years to write. Worry never removes tomorrow's hardships. It only steals today's peace. So live simply, speak kindly, and love sincerely. We know a car's windshield is larger than its rearview mirror. Life is the same. The past matters less than the future. Yet sometimes we must look back to learn, to live fully today, and guide tomorrow. And remember, when we pray for others, the universe listens and sends our good energy to them. So when we feel peaceful, perhaps someone somewhere has prayed for us. Sometimes we should view the world with a child's eyes to hear love from deep within. One smile is worth 10 medicines. So why not love ourselves more, love life more, and smile more? Even when weary, if we manage a small smile, the wilted heart begins to bloom again. When life is harsh, if we still know how to smile, release and let go of the heavy burdens of life. Laugh off the bitterness and anger. Don't live inside the words of others. Just smile gently and say nothing. Days and months will all pass anyway. To those who wrong us, we smile and widen our compassion, knowing this is the Saha world where people are fond of creating karmic troubles. In moments of suffering and drifting uncertainty, just keep a carefree smile. When we live kindly according to heaven's way, life never becomes a dead end. Let love reign. Let affection grow warmer each day. Let the soul be vast like the sea. Along life's path, a smile nurtures hope. One may still be poor even if made a president, for poverty of heart remains. The smile in suffering is just part of the story. When joy is absent in one's heart, a smile paints happiness back into life. Have you smiled today? Or is your smile still kept in its case after so many seasons? In this life, sincerity and benevolence are always essential for each of us. Goodness is the bright moon within the soul. That moon of virtue shines in the spiritual sky, transforming and softening all who walk under its light. A kind thought is a seed. A kind heart is a flower. A kind deed is a sweet fruit. Every person is born carrying a seed of goodness. If this seed is nurtured daily, it grows into a great tree. But some lose this seed and gradually become cold and indifferent. Others stain it and become cruel and heartless. No one does not need kindness. No one is beyond being moved by human goodness. Even hearts as hard as steel, as cold as ice, will someday soften and warm by just a single ray of kindness. Doing good is not like depositing money in a bank. True kindness does not calculate interest or profit. The highest realm of goodness is not caring about outcomes or repayment for the good we do. Regularly reflect beside the river of your thoughts. If we smile, our reflection smiles. Live with a heart inclined toward goodness. Firmly believe, and happiness will return. Nourish the seed of kindness in all daily relationships, for everything has its own destined affinity. If you see others as bodhisattvas, they will appear noble. If you see them as demons, they will appear frightening, like a mirror reflecting your own expression. Among friends, it is the same. Treat them with respect, and they will respond with grace. Treat them with contempt and shouting, and you will receive resentment. Therefore, in life, with friends, be sincere. With family, be affectionate. With loved ones, be forgiving. With enemies, be able to let go. If we keep kind thoughts in our conduct with others, they will gradually sense it and respond in kind. When the heart holds goodness, the quality of life rises accordingly. Appearance is born from the mind. The world shifts according to the heart. When inner goodness grows large, it radiates outward and influences everything around us, bringing sweet and wholesome results that in this life, we sometimes face so many choices that we hesitate, wanting perfection. Everyone wants to be flawless, so they also want choices that match that perfection, choosing only the best. Now, please listen to the following story. One day, a young student and an old teacher were discussing perfection. The student passionately spoke of his desire to find the perfect ideal. The teacher listened quietly, then gently said, "May I ask you to do something?" "Yes, master, I am willing." The teacher pointed. "Ahead of us is a grassy field. Pick for me the most beautiful, most perfect blade of grass you can find, but you must walk straight ahead and cannot turn back." The student stood up and began searching for the perfect blade. At his very first step, he saw a fresh, green blade. He reached out to pluck it, but withdrew his hand because he had just seen many others farther ahead that looked even better. He took the second step, then the third, then the fourth. Each time he intended to pick the blade beneath his feet, he again saw one in the distance that seemed more beautiful, more perfect than the one before, that you kept walking, searching for a truly perfect blade of grass. But you did not realize that, because you were so absorbed in searching, you had wandered to the far side of the field without noticing. At your final step, with only a small patch of grass before you, you had no choice but to pick the nicest blade you could find there and head back to where the master was waiting. Your face was no longer as excited as before, perhaps because you had already understood the meaning of what you had just done. Quietly, you handed the blade of grass to the master. Holding it in his hand, the master smiled gently, told you to sit down, and softly said, "That is it, my child. If you knew how to be content and did not keep searching endlessly, you would have already had a better blade of grass than this one." Many people in life are the same. Because they keep choosing and choosing, they let wonderful opportunities slip away. And only afterward do they regret what they lost. Reflect on today's story, my child. Happiness is not always about obtaining everything we desire. It is about cherishing and caring for what is already present beside us. To exist, a human being cannot live in isolation, but must interact with friends, family, society, and the vast universe. No matter how talented we are, no matter how carefully we prepare, unpleasant things will still happen by their very nature. There is success and there is failure. There is union and there is separation. But almost no one ever wants to fail. Humans suffer because they wish for permanence, while the very nature of life is impermanence. At times, when facing the destruction brought by impermanence, we feel as though we are about to collapse. Yet if we can truly absorb the teaching of dependent arising, we will understand that all this time we have enjoyed countless gifts from the universe. And now, when the universe takes back a little to share with others, it is simply natural, nothing bitter about it. On the other hand, there are those who disregard the suffering of others for their own gain, for their own pleasure. Thus, in the gain and joy of one person, there is often hidden the loss and sorrow of another. But let us not dwell too much on the darker side of life, because that is simply the nature of this world. Only when we can let go, truly let go, can our hearts find peace. All suffering and happiness arise from the mind and fade from the mind. Therefore, as our mind is, so will be our perception of life. The more we cultivate compassion, the more peace blooms within us. The more we cling to selfish desires, the more restlessness and turmoil circle endlessly. Quiet the mind and look deeply. Nothing here is truly ours. Wandering through every corner of this sentient world, once we understand, we naturally feel compassion. We send warm, understanding eyes toward all directions, north, south, east, and west, realizing that everyone is kin and we have no enemies. Live like the Buddha, owning nothing, yet able to make use of everything. Enjoy, but do not try to possess. Understand one simple truth. When we arrive in this world and when we leave it, our hands are empty. So why try so hard to hold on to things that were never ours to keep? Even this body, the closest thing to us, wherever we go, it follows. Yet the Buddha said, it is not yours. How much less, then, the external things? So why do we burden our hearts, create suffering, and accumulate karmic bondage? The lotus does not separate itself from the mud, yet amid the mud, it emits the purest fragrance. Living in the misty realm of the world, though the paths of life are countless, walk your path with wisdom and compassion. Compassion must go with insight, skillfully adapting to every condition, guiding your boat across the rising waters. When there is understanding, life becomes spacious and free. Praise and blame are simply human tendencies. When you are criticized, it is all right to feel sad for a moment, but do not rush to anger. Take criticism as a chance to look within yourself and adjust what is necessary. When others praise you, you may feel happy for a moment, but do not assume it is the absolute truth. Most praise is spoken merely to please others. So do not let sweet words stir up pride or arrogance within you, that if life were truly full of suffering, we would have no time to complain. If life were unbearably harsh, we would have no strength to resent. If we were truly at the end of endurance, how could we still have energy to lament and weep? Wherever we are, at any time, remember that we live for ourselves. So do what you believe is right, as long as it does not shame your own heart, and always strive to fulfill your duties. Destiny arises from within. When you choose a path, you are deciding your own fate. Do not dwell on the past. Live fully in the present and look ahead to the future. If you can do that, then tomorrow your life will surely be better. Return each soul to its cycle of rebirth, back to its ancient homeland, where it may sit in freedom and ease. Give back the burdens that have bent your back. Once this body has been borrowed and carried long enough, gently set aside the karmic load. Karma returns the drifting consciousness, tossed and turned like waves dissolving into the vast ocean. Love pays its debts through countless threads of longing, lingering through mist-laden lifetimes. Stumbling over ancient reefs, silhouettes of bamboo sway faintly by the threshold. Time still floats gently, silently drifting. What remains in me dissolves into the white clouds at heaven's edge. Whom shall I return this worldly dream to? 1,000 years. Eyes open into a hazy path of old. Footsteps echo with vague rhythms. Through eternity we wait. Through eternity the heavens sigh in dim breaths. Cradled again by mother's lullaby, the soul wanders through cycles of birth and death, burdened and worn. How many times has the silkworm of fate cocooned itself, binding and releasing through autumn forests and fading leaves? Yellow leaves return poems to the pen, strings return melodies to the instrument. I come back wearing the same face of old. 1,000 fates lead me here. Among them, I choose my own with simple sincerity. Seeing life clearly, I speak truth, for once one understands the way, one knows all things are fleeting. The world values money and silver. I value peace. What meaning do possessions hold amid endless worries? I choose a gentle life, though people call gentleness weakness. Winning over others is easy. Conquering one's lower instincts is hard. Love teaches patience. Patience becomes goodness. Cultivate the mind in every thought, and the world may rest from the seeds of war. Forgiveness is not weakness, but a deliberate choice. That it is not that the heart cannot be angry, but I refuse to build a prison of resentment for myself. That I choose honesty, because one cannot lie to oneself, a needle hidden in cloth. How long can it be concealed? I vow to live simply, returning to silence, seeking a peaceful life of fewer desires, calm amid storms. Giving brings more happiness than receiving, though not wealthy in money. May I always be rich in love. Walking through life's entanglements, remember, life is not a battlefield. There is no need to decide victory or defeat between people. Where empathy rises, misunderstanding falls. Between tasks, where concession grows, conflict fades. Some matters require patience. Some people require yielding. There is no need to fight for status, nor to beg for approval. Everyone has their own views and temperament that we value ourselves too highly. That is why we suffer from gain and loss, imagining others do not understand us. Truly, we must lighten the weight of the self, reduce a bit of ego, and step into another's perspective. Life becomes far kinder. Thus it is said, the more open the heart, the greater the joy. The broader the compassion, the more one receives. Not gossip behind others. Also do not trouble yourself with rumors about you, that a useless person is not worth speaking of. The more outstanding you are, the more eyes and judgments fall upon you. Admit fault is sincerity. To forgive is grace. That if you offer sincerity and receive no grace in return, then the other is simply small-minded, that we cannot control other people's tongues. The simplest way is to keep a light heart and walk past life's tangles. Why grieve over worldly noise? Praise pleases us, criticism injures us. Yet the world keeps flowing. Why sorrow over wins and losses? Life rises and falls. Today king, tomorrow dust. Who has not once been foolish? The wind toys with all things. Everything arises from karmic ties. Understanding this frees us from sorrow. Dreams show how illusory life is, chasing shadows with bait, wandering by our own doing. Not blame the world. Do not stare at others' faults and burden your heart. Human nature has always been so. Saints cannot dwell forever among mortals. Let it pass. Anger, greed, hatred, all heavy stones to put down. Remove the tinted glasses and the world grows less harsh. Gold or weeds. Often our eyes are mistaken. Living among humanity for decades, speaking is easy. Silence is hard. Life exhausts us because we cling too tightly. Joy and sorrow all arise from the mind, that we know old sayings well. When life gives you a sour lemon, do not fear. Cook with it, or make a refreshing drink. That if you face events with pessimism, hardships become bitter fruit. But with optimism, love, and openness, the same hardships become cooling lemonade. Grimace at the sour fruit, or to savor the sweet drink. That is our choice. Time helps us grow older, but not necessarily wiser. Only through hardship and trial do we mature and understand that a wise person, when alone, governs their own mind using solitude to self-reflect. When among others, they govern their speech using company as a chance to be humble and learn. Silence is not muteness. Meaning is. What matters? One word of peace outweighs 1,000 noisy sorrows. Lay your burdens down and live joyfully. Half of life requires clarity. The other half needs a little gentle foolishness. Often there is no need to judge right or wrong too sharply. Some truths, once understood, need not be acted upon. Some people, once seen through, need not be befriended. Deep within every soul is a hidden corner no one else can share. Obstacles must be faced alone, then quietly resolved. Whatever happens, do not let irritation rule your days, for who knows how much joy awaits tomorrow? How many roads await your steps? How many doors await your effort? Bitter and sweet, together they form life. Sorrow and joy, together they form the human world. And no matter the pain, sleep and rise again. Puberty should be left in the past. Constantly dwelling on yesterday only exhausts you. What others think is beyond your grasp, and what they do is beyond your control. The only thing you can truly do is give your best to what lies before you. Walk the path you've chosen and live your own life well. Remind yourself not to worry too far ahead. In life. When you encounter advantages, remember not to take everything for yourself. Even if you spend a lifetime gathering benefits, you will never exhaust them. Knowing when to stop is enough. Even when you are right, do not push others to the edge. Human arguments can go on for 1,000 years without ever reaching an end. Winning an argument often means losing your gentleness and kindness. Even if you are exceptionally talented, never ridicule others. Comparing person to person only hurts feelings. Comparing one thing to another often leads to discarding something of value. If you show too much cleverness, people will be suspicious. If you're too perfectionistic, conflicts arise easily. If you are arrogant, others will avoid you. Overthinking leads to sorrow, and paying attention to every tiny detail only traps you in self-torment. Wanting too much is what makes the heart weary. Only when your heart feels peaceful can your days become free and light, and only then will you find life truly worth living. Cherish those beside you, for once this life passes, meeting again is uncertain. Make the most of the joy you have now, for in just a blink it may be gone. When we feel hopeless and life seems blocked, pause, smile gently, and remind yourself, my dear self, relax a little. This is just a bend in the road, not the end of it. Everything we have in this life is temporary. If life is smooth, enjoy it while it lasts, for it will pass. If life is difficult, don't worry, for hardships do not stay forever. Morality is not a spare tire used to show off in social situations. Morality should be the steering wheel that guides us through this temporary journey. Keep your soul like a child, eyes unburdened, seeing the world and all beings with innocence. Though you understand the ways of humans clearly, though you too have moments of sadness and joy, life's simply like a blade of grass, leaving behind the calculations of gain and loss. You know that after all, 100 years from now, we will return to dust like dewdrops on a dragonfly's wing. People remain the same, obsessed with winning and losing, praising fleeting beauty. Sit down and return to truth. Let life pour honey or bitterness as it will, and stay calm. When your eyes open to the world and your heart remains still, even winter feels like spring. Be grateful for everything, even when your heart is heavy. What meaning lies within your gentle happiness? Remember to smile every morning. Light your heart with a new sunlight, and love others, even if no one notices. The flower of compassion blooms quietly in the impermanence of this world. In this human life, when we have a little, we want more. When we have more, we long for even more. But when we lose everything, we suddenly realize, if only I still had just a little would have been enough. There's a saying, knowing enough is enough. Waiting until you have enough means you will never have enough. Knowing contentment is one of the keys that opens the gate to peace. Life is not a race, but a journey for us to contemplate the meaning of existence step by step. What matters is not the reward at the end, but what we experience along the way. Do you believe that some people only realize at their final breath that they have never truly lived? We must become aware of living through every breath. Otherwise, we are not living. We are merely existing. A person awakens after a long sleep and suddenly feels more mature when recognizing they have two hands, one to help themselves and one to help others. What happens when a flower blooms deep in the forest, unnoticed by anyone? Its fragrance unseen, its beauty unpraised, its joy unshared? Does it die? Does it suffer? Does it become fearful or lonely? Does it give up? No. The flower simply blooms. It simply offers its fragrance to the wind. Whether anyone passes by to praise, it has nothing to do with it. It gives its scent and joy freely to life, to the vast whole. Have you lived with such serenity, like a wildflower blooming softly in the deep forest? Find yourself a resting place amid scorching sun and pouring rain as you travel through the currents of life and death. Find a shelter that can gently cover the familiar path your weary feet tread, where old passions have burned out since time immemorial, yet you still haven't stepped beyond the web of karma. Find a pure refuge where entering its stillness your worries dissolve. Point one of the great sufferings in life is expecting absolute perfection in how others treat us. When we learn to accept the relativity of human actions, happiness becomes reachable in the present moment. When we accept imperfection, our hearts grow more generous, more trusting, less resentful, and less disappointed. The foundation of life is mutual dependence between one person and another, between one thing and another, between this world and the next. No one lives without dying, and nothing dies without returning in another form. Because life is interdependent, it is inherently relative. No one can live entirely alone, and no one is perfectly flawless. Absolute living would mean living without death or dying without rebirth. It would mean living without a single mistake, something only saints might achieve. If you quiet your prejudiced mind and look deeply at the person you dislike most, you will discover something surprising. They, too, carry gentle qualities. Perhaps the parts you hate in them are only rough, relative traits. And if you observe the people you love most with the same objectivity, you will see that they too have flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. Many of them. We are imperfect, perhaps the endearing traits you cherish in certain people are only relatively charming. Once we realize nothing in life is absolutely perfect, we won't harbor deep hatred or harsh judgments toward those we find less lovable. When we understand that life holds no absolutes, we can let go and free ourselves from blind passion. Those emotional reactions where, when we love, everything seems flawless. In short, when we look at reality with objectivity, we will find comfort, whether we encounter agreeable people or difficult ones. Throughout history, people have imprisoned themselves in the duality of love and hate, in the false absolutes they create that we are not absolute, yet we demand absolute perfection from the world around us. This is why we suffer. Once you awaken to this truth, let me ask, who can truly help you live more happily, think more positively, and behave more objectively? Only one person. You doubt if you continually remember that nothing in life is absolute. You will find ease and lightness in all relationships. Happiness only begins to bloom when we shift our inner lens. Happiness only arrives when our hearts truly open. Last night, a leaf fell that a small bird, restless, stood beneath the durian tree. Its body lay still, its spirit gone to eternity, entering the endless cycle of rebirth. Bird and leaf, two dear friends. Who knew a hint of worldly affection could bring such lingering pain? One day the leaf turned pale, and the bird stopped singing. The yellowing of affection binds humankind. Liberation is never simple. How many lifetimes must pass? This life, the next, to meet again, to weave dreams that eventually fade. The bird sinks into the underworld. The leaf drifts to distant skies, separated, speechless in sorrow. Emotion builds mountains, divides shores, and for countless ages has brought suffering. Sometimes you feel life is unfair. You give so much yet receive so little. But truly, every time you give, you have already received. You receive invisible joys your hands cannot touch. Sometimes you wonder why, when others are sad, you're always there to soothe their wounds. Yet when you're hurting, no one is there to listen. But there is no injustice. You may simply receive late instead of early. All of us are born owing something to one another. Giving and receiving are rotations in repaying those debts. When you give goodness, you gain peace within. True, giving asks for nothing in return. The more you calculate, the more frustrated you become. A calculating heart cannot feel the joy that comes from giving. You end up giving while losing the invisible happiness that giving brings. Everything we do for one another is a form of repayment, visible or invisible, that we meet, love, hate, resent each other because of destiny. Fate is the beginning, but turning fate into lasting love depends on our choice, on how we give to each other. But remember, in love, you will either receive joy and happiness, or you will receive boredom and pain, all part of the same circle. Even knowing that disappointment may be the outcome, still, keep giving, because giving means you are already loving yourself. You flow with the endless current of life. There is no true death. Every ending is the beginning of new life. When you can embrace even life's unwelcome moments, when you focus on responsibility rather than personal gain, you stand at a higher place in spirit. When you look forward with hope, look downward with compassion, and look upward with gratitude, you stand at a higher place in soul. Life requires not only farsightedness and insight, but also clarity. TOC far is to understand the full picture. TOC deeply is to recognize that most people come for gain and leave for gain. TOC clearly is not to abandon ambition, but to keep the heart peaceful. The most frightening aging is not physical. It is losing the spirit of self-improvement. Point one may not be able to change outward appearance, but one can always refine inward temperament. When temperament changes, life changes. If a small setback shakes you, if one harsh word brings unease, if hearing someone dislikes you makes you lose heart, then your character is still fragile. Remember, the more you try, the luckier you become. Someone stands between two shores, asking where to return. Looking back, hair has turned gray. Hesitating, sinking deeper into life's two currents, people moving opposite ways, struggling back and forth. Point one. Hand clings to the temple gates. The other tears open worldly attachments. Wandering forests, longing for splendor. Sitting in the city, dreaming of mountains. Sometimes legs tire, but the soul keeps wandering, still intoxicated with life. Eyes fixed on the clouds, suddenly blocked by human hands. Lost in a cycle of birth and death, asking oneself again and again. Beneath the soil, a mound awaits all. Knowing this, why linger? Tree and root beneath the Bodhi, two shadows weighed down by night. Impermanence calls your name. Only tears remain on the land of repentance. Had there been more mindfulness long ago, perhaps this weary cycle could have been escaped, this drifting through worldly debts. Life will always contain disappointments, and you will meet people who are difficult, but if you cannot let go, you will drown in exhaustion. Different knowledge, different values, different cultivation, thus different ways of seeing and handling problems. Conflicts and disagreements are natural. At such times, forgiveness becomes grace, a form of self-cultivation, an umbrella shielding you in storms. Forgiving others sometimes requires sacrifice, a generous heart, or a bit of loss, but it is not weakness. It simply widens and clears the road ahead. Life is like the sky. It cannot always be bright. Sometimes it darkens, leaving you troubled. Life will not forever offer luck and happiness. At times, it will make you taste both sweetness and bitterness. Open your heart. Learn to cultivate the habit of forgiveness. Step past the people and things that weigh your spirit down. You will find yourself standing higher, seeing farther toward the edge of the horizon. When others criticize you, feeling sad for a moment is fine, but never let anger erupt, for within every criticism lies a reminder of what we can improve. Bettering yourself is what truly matters. If life were truly filled with suffering, you wouldn't have time to complain. If life were unbearably harsh, you would not have the strength to resent anything. The reason you still have the mood to lament is simply because things have not yet reached the point of absolute despair. Regardless of where or when, remember that you live for yourself. So in anything you do, as long as your conscience is clear and your duties fulfilled, that is enough. Destiny grows from within. The moment you choose your path is the moment you choose your fate. The world rarely cares how much bitterness you have swallowed, nor how much pain you have endured. What people pay attention to is only the results you can offer. So when life's storms come, gently remind yourself that once you walk past the tempests, the sun will naturally appear. There's no need to sigh endlessly before others, for even if you speak, they may not truly care. Some things feel lighter once you let them go. Some people, when remembered suddenly, can make you smile. Certain hurts, once understood, can make you stronger. Worrying too much about one issue only traps you in circles. In truth, matters are simple until we overthink them. Just keep a calm mind and an open heart, and everything that comes will pass lightly, leaving peaceful days behind. A little wandering soul drifts like a cloud without knowing rest, lost on life's long, anxious roads. Yet joy lies ahead, the green grass beyond, the flowers blooming day by day. But if life lacks a smile, the heart grows restless. Happiness is never far. One day, when peace returns to the soul, through mindful breaths and quiet listening, you will see that true happiness lies right within a serene, deep heart, merging with immensity. A wandering soul finally finds home here, enough to end its long journey through rise and fall. The root of happiness lies in how we perceive people and events. Train your mind in these ways to build a long-lasting, peaceful life. In life, we cannot avoid others judging or mocking our flaws. Instead of letting irritation consume us, we can learn to laugh at our imperfect selves. That is how you show confidence in your perfectly imperfect being. Only by accepting yourself can you truly grow. It is normal that you and others hold different viewpoints. You don't have to change simply because your views differ. As long as you live without harming yourself or others and remain true to your conscience, that is enough. There are people life seems to favor more than others, but this is no one's fault. We must accept the uncomfortable truth that life is not fair. Keep striving toward your goals. Even if you don't reach the destination you dreamed of, at least you will stand farther than where you once were. Understand also that you will never have everything you want. In each stage of life, you will yearn for one thing or many things, and even when you attain them, you will soon desire something else. The important thing is learning to be content with what you have, so your days feel less burdensome. Every day, we make choices, what to do and what not to do. Consider carefully before choosing, to avoid wasting time on what is not worth it. Everything has two sides. Don't rush to believe stories told from only one perspective. Don't let glamorous images on social media blind you. Learn thoroughly before placing your trust. Those who choose deceit may achieve quick success, but only those who choose kindness can walk the long road. Be a good person, even if life treats you unfairly. Simply because being good gives you peaceful sleep, unafraid that your wrongdoings will be exposed. If you expect others to bring you happiness, then be prepared for disappointment. Love life and people without expecting anything in return. Only then will your heart remain serene. If I were granted another chance at life, I would sit quietly by a small riverside village at dusk, watching. The fields reflected on the water, listening to the rice whisper along the dikes. If I were to live once more, I would stroll with a dear friend under a gentle rain, find a quiet corner in life's rush, watching the evening fall with the distant echo of temple bells. If possible, let the boat of life drift backward, carrying me to my youthful days, living freely in the present without chasing illusions. If granted another life, I would smile and accept my own pains, bow beside the unfortunate, letting eyes of compassion soothe their sorrow. If possible, I would begin anew, smoothing out the rough days, polishing regrets, knowing life is finite, but my heart still overflowing through 1,000 years. May life give me one more chance to open pathways of compassion, to judge less and understand more, to love without end. There was once a man who, every time he picked up a newspaper, always read the obituary section first. He read them carefully, though he often did not know the deceased. A friend questioned this strange habit. He replied, "I read them to offer thanks to these people." His friend, bewildered, said, "You thank strangers who have died? What is wrong with you?" The man calmly answered, "Yes. I thank them because their passing reminds me never to forget how impermanent life is. Death can come suddenly, no one knows when. While alive, they too had dreams, plans, struggles, joys, and resentments. Now they are lifeless bodies waiting for cremation or burial. Their passing teaches me one of life's greatest lessons. Is that not worthy of gratitude? Live without shame, even if the one you love leaves. even if flowers do not bloom for you. Do not expect rivers to flow backward. Simply live a complete human life. Joy and sorrow all pass. Spring stirs leaves, autumn lets them fall. Live to love, to be at ease. Happiness is to feel, not flaunt. Success is to contribute, not boast. Possessions are to use, not display. Money is to spend, not compare. Life is to experience, not calculate. Feelings are to share, not exploit. Falsehood is to destroy, not protect. Parents are to honor, not demand from. Friends are to support, not take advantage of. Faith is to strengthen, not deceive. Family is to care for, not harm. Nothing in life is absolute. Renew your perspective, and the soul will bloom like dawn. And no matter how strong you are, you'll have moments of fragility. A kind word can revive wondrous faith. There will be lonely days, even on the peak of success. Happiness is love and understanding, so share, empathize. One day you may live in abundance. Another day you may stand empty-handed. What's there to cling to? When life changes in an instant, smiling at one moment, tears falling the next, that is normal. Rise and fall have always been part of the human journey. Life has those quiet moments when the eyes grow still, the heart opens wide, and a single day feels infinite. This morning, the sunrise is beautiful, as if it has helped me pass through a storm within. When sadness comes, don't close your doors. Look, the white clouds drift above the river outside. That if one sees life as a battlefield, there will always be struggle. That if one sees life as a journey, there will always be scenery. That if one sees life as passing clouds, never stopping, one will remain calm before all changes. Life is simply like that. There seems to be no right or wrong, only acceptance. Happiness, ease, or suffering all depend on the attitude of our heart when facing this world full of shifting sunshine and rain. Often, it is after many failures that we realize the preciousness of perseverance and patience. Often, it is after many successes that we see the value of courage and faith. Meeting many people teaches us the value of sincere friendship. Studying the Dharma often reveals the worth of understanding and compassion. Chasing fame and gain teaches the value of detachment. Letting go of conflicts teaches the worth of forgiveness. Facing things that irritate or oppose us teaches the value of cultivating the heart. Interacting widely with the world teaches the value of purity and inner peace. Facing much deceit reveals the treasure of simplicity and honesty. Knowing how to forget things that make us unhappy, knowing how to walk away from places and people that make us small. That is knowing how to live as long as tomorrow still exists. Today will always remain the perfect beginning to move toward truth, goodness, and beauty. The world is like a mirror. If our face is tense, the reflection frowns back. The fault is not in the mirror. Life is a mirror. Smile, and it smiles in return. So do not hesitate to look. Whoever sends a gentle smile into this world of countless worries, if they quietly polish the mirror of their heart, they will see life becoming clearer, even when the world outside remains covered in mist. Each person is a mirror where lessons constantly reflect. If the heart holds love and understanding, life will reveal its wondrous fragrance. We come to this world for only two great matters: birth and death. One has already been completed, leaving only the other, so there is no need to rush. Whatever has enough conditions will naturally come. Once finished, it will fade away. Waiting or longing brings nothing. A wise person does not live according to worldly gossip, nor do they fear it. Regarding the gaze of the world, just understand your own heart. Observe the good and the flawed within yourself and slowly transform them. That itself is cultivation. The greatest loss in life is having no spiritual refuge, not knowing where the heart should return. Whether you are aware of it or not, whether you admit it or not, if your heart holds only goodness, then nothing can trouble you. If the inner mind is truly kind, you will never resent anyone. If your way of living is genuinely simple, then no matter how chaotic the world becomes, it cannot disturb you. When you become a good person, your body stays healthy, your mind at ease, and your sleep peaceful. Doing good deeds, heaven understands, earth knows, and even spirits respect. If you bring warmth, the world is never cold. If you avoid distinctions, the world is never distant. If you harbor no resentment, the sky is always warm. If you do not stir up conflict, the four seas remain tranquil. True stillness is not sitting motionless for hours, but observing all things with calmness, hearing even the sound of flowers and grass growing. Deep steadiness is something that cannot be gained by seeking outwardly. It must arise from within. People strive their whole lives, working tirelessly, yet when they leave, they cannot take even a blade of grass. Gathering possessions for decades still ends in leaving empty-handed, without even a fragment of glory. Once life begins, whether rich or poor, when the path ends, everyone must say farewell. So while there is still time, live wholeheartedly. Cherish those whom your heart finds worthy. Not chase the flashy standards of the world. Life is truly short. Some promise to live 100 years, yet the moment they turn away, they have already become the departed. Some meet a soulmate, but before long, life and death have separated them. Therefore, while the chance remains, do not create regret. Don't overthink. Don't be overly concerned. Don't desire too much. Try your best to treat the people beside you with a little more kindness, for after this life, you may never meet again. Life passes very quickly. If you can step beyond fame and illusion, you can touch what is real. When encountering complications, solve them gently and release unnecessary burdens. Only with a light heart can you move forward. Yielding to others helps you avoid petty conflict. Looking farther allows you to see the rainbow after the rain. Packing lightly allows you to travel comfortably across thousands of miles. The most beautiful scenery is not seen with the eyes, but felt with the heart. Deep affection needs no words. It reveals itself through actions. Whenever you feel dissatisfied, remember the virtue of water. Soft, gentle, silently embracing and transforming all things without argument or resistance. If each person cultivated themselves to that level, what is there to fear? The world would be peaceful, and the human heart at ease. In the evening courtyard, the mountain asks the river why it keeps flowing without ever coming back. The river whispers that its vow is to follow the clouds. Tomorrow, when rain falls upon the land, then mountain and river will meet again. Not be sad over parting. When we meet again, our smiles will be brighter. Impermanence nurtures the eternal. In the ancient realm of affinity, we have never truly been apart. O mountain, the sunlight has faded. Time flows across the eternal bridge. In the countless bonds of fate, we meet again beneath the primordial root. Look, water has become cloud. Rain falls on leaves this evening, and the mountain smiles at the game of coming and going. Eyes awaken from dream, at ease, riding the waves of music in the sky of solitude. Being alone may feel sad, so remember to comfort yourself. Tomorrow, no matter what happens, keep moving forward. Being alone may feel lonely, so remember to soothe yourself. When the heart is warm, even loneliness becomes insignificant. Being alone may feel empty, so remind yourself that everyone has their own path to walk. No one can accompany us forever. Being alone may feel weak, so encourage yourself. With a little more courage, you will learn resilience. Being alone may feel frustrating, so manage your emotions so as not to hurt the ones who matter. Being alone means knowing how to take care of yourself. The world is vast, and those who truly love us are few, and they cannot stay forever. So learn to live independently. Those who worry for you do so because the path you walk is your own choice. No matter how hard it is, remind yourself to walk it to the end. In life, there is no obstacle that cannot be overcome. Every task has its own joy, just as every person has their own burdens. When your feet ache, rest. When your heart hurts, keep quiet. When tired, sit down and comfort yourself. Whatever happens, there is no need to display misery before the world. When you feel wronged, look up. The vast sky and earth can contain every sorrow. The road ahead is long, and many segments must be walked alone. Those who give birth to you will age. Those who love you will eventually leave. Only you must persist to the very end. We come into this world alone and leave it alone. Family and friends are travelers who accompany us for part of the journey. Some a short while, some a little longer, but eventually all will part, and we must continue alone. Choosing your own path means facing storms and challenges by yourself. A steady person cannot be stopped even by heavy rain and fierce wind. Move forward bravely. Joy and sorrow, sweetness and bitterness must all be experienced personally. Once you are used to being alone, loneliness no longer frightens you. In this life, nothing is truly terrifying. Nothing is impossible. Believe, in time, you will become strong. In the Agama Sutras, the Buddha teaches, a person who does good is like the waxing moon, growing brighter day by day from the 1st to the 15th, that a person who commits wrongdoing is like the waning moon, fading from the full moon to the 30th night, sinking into darkness. Anyone who has a human life already possesses a certain measure of merit, like a moon that is naturally lit. If we fail to cultivate more goodness and instead create unwholesome karma, we become like the waning moon, dimming into shadow. How sorrowful that is. But if we cherish and protect the bright moon within us, our inherent goodness, and help it grow day by day, we will shine like the waxing moon. How precious that is.